Hello, and welcome to a very special edition of Up Close on METV. I'm Charles Clapsaddle, Station Manager for Manatee Educational Television. And on this edition of Up Close, we are very privileged to have with us the gentlemen who are responsible for bringing the World Rowing Championship to this area. I'd like to introduce our very distinguished panel, starting with Mr. Paul Blackheader. Paul, thank you so much for joining us. You are one of the key catalysts in making this all happen, and as president of the Suncoast Aquatic Nature Center Association, you are the organization that everybody is working with. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. It's a nonprofit organization that's basically to represent both counties, the region, the state of Florida, to bring in these colleges, these teams, the bidding opportunities to host these World Games, and we think that we're off to a great start.
Well, you are, and I think at the press conference that you just did recently, your first remarks is, "We did it," and congratulations.
Yeah, underscore the word "we." Could not have done it without our partnership that we put together, both with the local rowing clubs, the community, the volunteer base. I mean, it's a true grassroots type of adventure, and bringing in Sarasota County, Manatee, and the state of Florida, and of course FISA and U.S. Rowing definitely makes it quite successful.
And one of your key partners is seated here to your left, and that's the chair of the Manatee County Commissioner, Commissioner Larry Bussell. Commissioner, thank you for joining us today. And this is certainly a significant achievement, not only for Manatee County, but for the United States.
Yes, indeed. And Manatee County is very proud to be a part of this.
And also joining us today is Mayor Wayne Poston, who is another key player in putting this all together. Mayor Poston, thank you for joining us today. And you know, why is this important to the city? Why is this the city such a key player in all of this?
Well, we just want to be part of the team, because we know this is an economic development opportunity for us, and that's why the city really is involved in this. We think it's, with all the things that we have happening in sporting venues around Manatee County and Bradenton, but with the McKechnie Field redo, with IMG, now with the rowing facility coming in, we're becoming a sort of a sports headquarters certainly for Florida, and as well maybe as the Southeast as well. So this is a real opportunity for us, and Bradenton is happy to be a part of this, and I think I can speak for the other mayors in the cities in Manatee County that they're excited as well.
We want to talk more about the involvement of the city and some of the things that are happening there as well. But next joining us is Elliot Falcione from the Bradenton Area Civic Center. Elliot, thank you so much for joining us. I want to hear from you why you think this is such a key, important factor for the entire area.
Well, you know, one of the main roles that we're charged with doing as the Convention and Visitors Bureau is to bring visitors to our area. And you don't get many opportunities to procure an event that'll actually expose our beautiful area to over 65 countries. So over the next 4 years, we're going to gain a lot of market share for the Manatee, Sarasota area, and we're excited about that. Thanks,
Elliot. And last but certainly not least is Mr. Ed Hunsaker, the Manatee County Administrator. Mr. Hunsaker, this is certainly a significant achievement. I think one of your remarks before we began is that this really places this area on a world stage, and it certainly will. Tell us why you think the Manatee County should be definitely involved in this type of project.
Well, it's just a great opportunity for our community to showcase ourselves to the region, to the entire United States, and across the globe. There will be people coming in here from all over the face of the earth to see our region. And the partnership that we've created with Sarasota County, with Sanka, with the Benderson Corporation, the state of Florida, it truly is remarkable, and it's just working out perfectly. And now it's time to step it up, because this is truly a regional event. We're going to be looking to other counties in the region to join in with us to truly make our visitors in 2016 and 17 really have a grand time, and to make the residents of the region have a good time also. Remember, we're bringing people in, but it also showcases our community for the people that live here. There's not many people here that are going to get the opportunity to see an Olympic type event in their lifetime. And that is truly something to think about when you once you see one of these events and see the nations, the languages, the people, the venue, it'll be quite spectacular for the people that live here.
And I think what Ed makes a really good point about people coming to see us, and are going to want to join this. Because, you know, athletic teams, they don't fill those stadiums until they're winning. Once you start winning, then people want to get on board. And we think that there's a real opportunity here. Paul Blackletter has done a magnificent job of making this thing happen. He was doing what we call in the city Imagineering. Because when he started this, people would look at him and say, what in the world are you thinking about? All of a sudden, it just kept getting bigger. And then people joined in. And then people bought the vision. And then they started to work on the vision. And this team, and working with Paul and all the work that he has done to set this thing up, it's a success with two counties working together in ways that they've never done before.
And it's an excellent point, Mr. Mayor, is that, Paul was recognized when the governor here was here recently at the park, and recently when you did the ribbon cutting out there. It was wonderful. But this started a long time ago, almost 6 years ago, and when that was nothing but a pit. And Paul, I'd like to hear briefly from you how you looked at that pit one day and you said, this would make a really good rowing facility, or was there something in the midst of that?
Really how it all started was when Nathan Benderson came down in the around, I think it was 2003, and saw this intersection, saw an area that had a lot of potential, and purchased the property just to the north of the venue, right on the Manatee side, and basically kind of transformed that outlet center and then expanded and went beyond, and saw a park that had potential that was basically overgrown by Brazilian peppers, and he donated $1 million to enhance the park for the betterment of the community and health and fitness. And then the economy, we were moving forward with the University Town Center. I was one of the project managers on that project. And in 2007, as we all know, we faced some serious economic issues, and we kind of rethought things and how we can continue to move things forward. And that's when all the emphasis moved to the park. Right. And so really it's a result of a bad economy and the oil spill. And out of those trials and tribulations, great things came out of it. And that's basically the essence. And we had an opportunity to host a regatta back in 2009. We did. It was a huge success. Filled every hotel room in both counties. Because the project is right on the county line, it's basically 50-50 when it comes to impacts, economic impacts. And so having Manatee County part of this was crucial and to the success of the venue. And now having the state of Florida involved too is also a regional, but yet even a state impact and influence throughout the state that we're seeing now.
And that's an excellent point, and I want to direct my next question to Commissioner Bussell, is that do you remember, Commissioner, when Paul came to you with this idea and said, let's take a look at this. This has a great deal of potential, and how you wanted to get on board and follow that kind of vision.
It's funny you bring that up, because Paul and I were talking about that on our recent trip to Korea. Paul and I are both veterans, and Paul has quite a very interesting history of being involved in the Iraq War and so on. And he and I were doing veteran things together, and all of a sudden he started talking about rowing. And he and Dave Gustafson and the enthusiasm and the energy level that those two guys projected when they started talking to people got me very interested, and I started learning about rowing. I think Paul was 6 months or a year ahead of me on rowing, but he's many years graduate degrees ahead of all of us now. But that's where I got interested, and I saw the possibilities. I saw we went down to the site, to the pit, and saw some races, and what a terrific vision that we were seeing unfold before our eyes.
But Manatee County and Sarasota County, you know, they stood up because there was some a request for funding and to move ahead, and also the state got involved. Can you take us a little bit through that process, Paul, and tell us why that was critical to the success?
Well, back in when we had our first regatta in 2009, we demonstrated that this has a true economic impact on both counties, and we demonstrated that every hotel room from the beaches to the interstate were filled, and the hoteliers and the restaurants. As a matter of fact, we even got complaints from the local retail where they ran out of bread, and you know, basically said, you know, next time you have an event, please let us know. We need to get stocked up. And that really bought into Sarasota County, where they saw that a true investment. If we build this thing correctly the first time, we can go world class from there. And through a lot of hard work, community involvement, we pulled the folks together, and they increased the tourist development tax to 0.25%. And $19.5 million was invested into the venue to build all the basic infrastructure, the depth of the lanes, and the technical aspect of what we need to do to actually become a true FISA venue. And we just continued to move forward. And the tough part was, you know, how do you get a venue that's in Sarasota County, although on the border, to get Manatee County involved? And that's when we started working with their tourist development folks, Elliott, and of course the county administrator and commissioners, and just steadily briefing them and letting them know here's what's happening, here's where they're staying, here's the true investment, this is the return. And they got it. They truly understood, and they came on board in full support of this venue. And now it's kind of equaled out a little bit, you know, and we can because of that, because of the two county support, it gave a signal to the state of Florida that this is a true regional type of a venue, and that's where the state of Florida got involved. And we're building from there, and we expect to have this thing completely built out by 2016, hosting major national and international events practically year-round at the venue.
Well, I think everybody has talked, and I want to hear a comment from Mr. Hunsaker, is that this is one of those rare occasions where a lot of people came together to work cooperatively to make something happen because they all had that shared vision. Two counties coming together, a state legislature coming together, a governor coming together, all working towards that shared common vision, which I think is a pretty remarkable thing. Mr. Hunsaker?
We shouldn't forget Coach Harry Parker and his visit from Harvard when he came down and fell in love with the area. The venue at the park, and also up on the upper Manatee River, and he wanted to bring his team down for doing their winter training. And when he brings his team down, that's 200 people strong, and they're down here for 10 days, and and where Coach Harry Parker takes his team, it would appear every other college team in the country wants to follow. So now we've built this facility up on Fort Hamer for them to practice. And
with its own boathouse and you know, easy
beautiful
parking,
facility.
Beautiful facility out there.
And it's filled up quite nicely during the winter months with these colleges from up north coming down, and it's just part of the overall Sanka management that's going to run that facility, another one down in Sarasota in Osprey. So we truly have expanded it well beyond the park to other facilities for training and workout, and it's we owe a part of that to Coach Harry Parker and his vision for the area and rowing. So,
and Elliot, you had a quick comment?
Just have to, you know, when I got my hands kind of grasped on the rowing, Paul called me about a year ago and said, Elliot, I need you to go to Bulgaria with me to this international regatta. And I said, excuse me, I was hoping I heard Bermuda. And he said, no, Bulgaria. And so I said, well, you know, I'll go with you, because he really felt like that we needed to showcase to the Federation of Rowing the governmental support in the area to try to go after a World Rowing Championship. And when Paul and Dave Gustafson and I went to Bulgaria in a depressed community, we said, wow, you know, I mean, the high demographic athlete that comes there, the emotional aspects of the event, it was memorable. And all the new dollars that was flowing into that community, into the hotels and the restaurants, right away we said, gosh, we got to figure out a way to make this happen, because this is only about the third of the size of the World Rowing Championships.
Right.
And if we can bring the World Rowing Championships to not only the Sarasota-Bradenton area, but the United States, how memorable would that be, and what it could do for our local economy? So that trip alone, really, we said, Paul, we're lifelong partners, and let's do all we can to make it happen.
And one of the things, as you gathered momentum and the effort continued to increase, you developed great partnerships with U.S. Rowing and World Rowing, but you had to go out and talk to these people and show them the level of commitment and the level of support that you had. And one of those trips was to Switzerland. And tell us about that, Paul. And were all these gentlemen, did all these gentlemen go with you?
Matter of fact, yes, this was
The
part
Switzerland
of the group.
contingent?
Yes, so we had to, part of the criteria is, this is a relationship we've been building over the last 4 years with the Federation of International Rowing. And this is the culmination of all the hard work in the official presentation to the FISA Council, which is a 14-member from all around the globe. And they have representation from basically every continent. And we had to deliver and why this is the venue that can host a World Rowing Championship, from hoteliers to restaurants to transportation. The list just simply goes on. And our team came together and as one, and we delivered this presentation. It went off perfectly, got a round of applause, and we knew that we were a true great partnership that we can deliver. And it was a great moment, to work with the mayor of the city of Bradenton and the county administrator of Manatee and Sarasota County equally, with one simple common goal, and to bring this home to Sarasota Bradenton, and we did.
It was a remarkable presentation because, as Paul said, we're making it to a council of people, some of which had no idea about this place called Florida. We take it for granted that the whole world knows about us.
It's true.
But it was amazing what they didn't know. And we had 1 hour to make that presentation, to get across to them that we could and should be the place in 2017. It was quite a remarkable presentation.
It was
Mayor?
an interesting thing, too, is we were having dinner the night after the presentation. On the other end of the restaurant were the Bulgarians, which were our competition for this. And so we said, we'll meet you after dinner. And so we met with them after dinner, and the mayor of Plovdiv, Bulgaria, we shook hands and had a cocktail and talked a little bit about, and he has since reached out and said, we want to be a sister city to Ukraine.
There you go.
So there are about 350,000 people over there. So it was fun. They knew that we had a good presentation. They knew we had a strong team there, and so they're hoping for 2018, I think, for the World Championships.
One of the things that I've noticed as you progressed in this, you did things very thoroughly. You didn't take anything for granted. It wasn't expected just because we've made a wonderful presentation or they've come to see our facility. You worked very thoroughly towards your whole presentation. And even though you could be confident until you went to Korea and heard the thing, you still did not know. Is that correct?
That's correct. And one thing that we want to make sure, and we want to get the message out to everyone, that just because we're the United States, just because we're Sarasota Bradenton, we had this incredible partnership, doesn't mean that we're automatically going to get it. We did not want to be overly confident, wanted to show that we were quite sincere, that we're prepared to do our homework, to study every aspect of hosting a World Rowing Championship and not take anything for granted. When we were at the Congress, sitting there in Chunju, Korea, we were still biting our nails, if you will, until they made that actual announcement when they took that vote, and it was completely unanimous.
And that had to give you a wonderful, overwhelming feeling of just enthusiasm when you got a unanimous vote from the host nations that were there. How many countries were represented?
Well, at FISA, they actually have 137 federations. At this particular meeting, there was 88 countries represented there.
Yeah.
And everybody showed their sign of support, no questions. The recommendation by the FISA Council was high marks, and I think Mr. Hunsinger had some comments as specifically what he said is a bid that actually exceeds the standard, and we're really proud of that and really happy with the results of it.
So It's a wonderful occasion, and I think, you know, for the community, both Sarasota and Manatee County and all the surrounding areas, to know is that this is a venue that is going to be enjoyed by many different types of events, rather than just the rowing, which is a world-class Olympic type of venue. Tell us a little bit about some of the other things that you have planned as you ramp up towards the 2017 World Rowing Championships.
Well, as they say, you know, you do your due diligence and they'll pay off. We basically traveled through all these venues throughout the world, truly understand the programming and what these things can deliver well beyond rowing. What we've soon discovered is triathlons, U.S. canoe sprints, dragon boating, wakeless launch, wake sports and things like that. It's just a plethora of different events that can occur there. We've already hosted a couple of international triathlons. Mm-hmm. And dragon boat events, 5K runs, and it'll grow from there. But the limitations it doesn't exist. And it's 600 acres of just great infrastructure. We actually sat down with all the different national and international federations, mm-hmm. showed them the plan, and we said, you know, tell us what you want. What do you think can be best for you to bring your sporting event here? And we expect a lot more to come.
And one thing, and I think this is, you know, people know about the rowing and all the other events that you're going to be hosting. One thing that I think this community should know about, and you know, I certainly should be aware about, is your efforts on behalf of veterans. As a former Army officer, and Mayor Bussell is a former Navy pilot, and Mayor Poston is a veteran, you're really doing a lot towards working with veterans. You're partnering with different organizations for wounded warriors, is that correct?
That's correct. I mean, this is going to be a major component to the venue. Working with the major corporations, you know, corporate leadership, with MacDill Air Force Base and the Central Command, and also with Walter Reed Hospital, our elite athletes and the community, combine them all into one, where we truly integrate people together. And no one's segregated. They're all part of the overall goal. And bringing these veterans down to be able to network, be a part of a bigger team, and use rowing as that facilitator to develop teamwork and leadership is a perfect venue. And with world-class coaches and athletes, we think that we can make something pretty, have a very, very stout program here.
Well, congratulations on that, and I think that's a really important component of the overall picture. Well, one thing I want to talk, and I want to go around the table here if I may, is that the rowing facility it puts this area on the international map. People will be coming here from all over the world to Sarasota, Bradenton, to celebrate here in this venue, and that will have a direct economic impact on here. And Mayor Bussell, why do you think that this is so important, you know, to kind of showcase not only this area, about the economic multiplier, if you will, about the visitors that will be coming?
Well, I've been thinking about that, and I really think that it's going to be the the catalyst for an economic uprising in our area. Especially, just imagine the hotel industry in our region. I think it's going to increase, and the number of taxi cab companies and the number of rental car companies, and you know, the multiplier is certainly going to be there. There's another aspect that we haven't talked about, and I thought you'd be interested in knowing that rowing as a sport in our region at the high school level was not known, a year ago or 2 years ago? Mm-hmm. And now there are 3 high schools in Manatee County, and I understand 4 or 5 in Sarasota County where the kids are rowing. They have rowing teams and they're competing. And not only will they have an opportunity to compete, but people from other high schools in the region will come here because we have the venue. So
and
that's pretty exciting.
That's an excellent point. Trish Jackson, who's the coach of the Palmetto team, takes her team out to the Manatee County facility, and it's really becoming popular. But if you go a step further, think of those young rowers who are going to get to rub shoulders with Olympic caliber people from all over the world. It's just got to be a wonderful, wonderful event for them. Now, Mayor Post, I wanted to ask you a little bit about as this continues to grow and develop, one of the great things that's happening here is that it's going to create some economic surges, specifically on jobs and opportunities. Do you see some things happening for the city of Bradenton as this park continues to develop?
Yeah, we do see that. And my department heads and I talked 2 years ago at our retreat, and one of the things that I sometimes get these weird looks from them when I said 2 years ago, we have to think about being global. Yeah, we got to start thinking. Regional is one thing, but global is what we have to do. Serve on a tourist development council with Elliot. And our foreign tourism is up tremendously this year over a great year last year. So there are going to be people here, and we have opportunities to attract more people. We love those second homes. Not everybody can be on Anna Maria Island or Longboat. They're now making day trips into Bradenton, as well as people going the other direction. So there's a real opportunity here. And and Bradenton is the county seat. Part of what we're doing, it says Sarasota Bradenton on all the posters for the championships, and that will continue. It gets our name out there, it markets Bradenton in a way that we get more reach. We have a great working relationship with the Pittsburgh Pirates. They're now spending $400,000 just in the greater Pittsburgh area promoting Bradenton, and we're talking about that and trying to develop those working relationships. When we went up to Pittsburgh 2 years ago, we formed an alliance with the city of Pittsburgh. The mayor signed an alliance paper, and I signed and gave him one. And now we're starting to see the benefits of that. More people are coming this way and understanding that Bradenton is a real part. We're the southern home of the Pirates. So we have to think that way. We have to market the city in a way that works for us. And what we're really trying to do in the city of Bradenton, we're going to build a community where people want to live. And we're not forgetting about the people who are here already. That lifestyle development is good for them too. The tourists coming in just add to that.
I see it from just a very simple perspective is that this is like the pebble in the pond type of thing. There's these like concentric things that are going to continue to build and ripple out from the initial thing of that rowing facility, which is a world-class. And I have to ask Paul to comment on the wave attenuator, which is, because this is a modern device that you and your kind of momentum said, yeah, this would be a good idea. But this ripple in the pond effect will be jobs, economic multipliers, perhaps home sales. All of these things will continue to ripple out from the effect of this event and other events to follow. Would you think that was?
Yeah, absolutely. We're having this type of sports. Everybody's now being familiar with sports tourism, and it's becoming the buzzword of the area. And I think it has been. IMG's been doing it for a long, long time, right. And something that Bradenton has been recognized for many years. But now we're seeing a lot of new events coming around. Sarasota putting bids in for beach volleyball, and the list just simply goes on and on. I mean, we have the potential of being basically an amateur sports capital, and be the little San Diego, if you will. And we have the environment, we have the people, we have the hotels, we have the infrastructure. We've proven that to FISA to host a true large international world event. And it's going to be pretty exciting over the next few years.
Well, it's an excellent point because, Manatee County has had the beaches, which are beautiful and pristine, and tourism, Elliott, is through the roof this last year. But now you have something else. There's another tool in your toolbox to market this area, and that's this wonderful Nathan Benderson Park.
We're taught today even more if you don't diversify your business or your product, you're going to have too much economic fluctuation that a community like this can't afford. So the sports segment is growing. The leisure market is still top. But the thing that excites us about the rowing component, which Paul will remind us it's only about 20% of the future programming, is you're going to bring a high demographic clientele to our beautiful area. Mm-hmm. They're probably going to come here, see their kid row and compete against the world, fall in love with it and say, you know what, honey, let's come back here for a vacation. Then they fall in love with the destination, move or buy a business, and then eventually buy real estate. And a lot of times it's difficult to capture that kind of conversion rate, but that's what it's all about. Our household income right now for a leisure visitor is about $113,000 household income. I'll bet you the rowing household income is quite higher than that. So that's what is so exciting about this opportunity. And I'll just call it, as big as the World Rowing Championship is going to be, $25 million economic impact, it's really just planting a seed for future development.
And I think that's an important facet that came up. I think Mr. Benderson talked about that at the press conference. He says this is something that's going to be around for years to come. It is really a legacy, not only to his father, but for this entire community. And Mr. Hunsaker, there's a lot of investment that's being made, economically and just resources into making sure that this is going to not only be viable but successful. And why do you think that you want to continue to have that type of focused effort to make this the most successful venue and event possible?
Well, this will be undoubtedly the best rowing facility in this country. This could be the U.S. national rowing facility. This international rowing event hasn't been in the United States in the last 20 years. We get back into it, it builds momentum across the country, it builds it in the high schools, it builds it in the colleges. It just creates the energy in the community, it'll create the energy in our educational system. From an economic development standpoint, we'll attract different demographics, as Elliot has pointed out. My wife and I have raised 3 sons in Florida, and they all left the state to find jobs. Why can't we keep our children here? That would be a key, is to create an atmosphere in a community that businesses are attracted to. And when you attract businesses, you attract job opportunities, and that makes the whole economic stream much more viable. And the rising tide lifts all ships, and it will all start with this rowing.
I think Manatee County is very well positioned. The advent of Feld Entertainment moving to Manatee County, the growth of other airflow products at the port. There's a lot of great things that are happening. And this is probably like a jewel or a crown jewel in all of those things. I want to go around the table, gentlemen, if I may, and get some final comments. And I want to start with Mayor Bussell first, if I may. Excuse me, Commissioner Bussell, if I may, and just tell me why you think this is such a critical thing and why Manatee County is going to be continued to support this.
Well, we're all very interested in regionalism, and truly I think we're setting an example for all of the Tampa Bay region to look at. I'm excited about it. I think that the momentum will continue to build. At the press conference recently, I used the example about heating a pot of water, because all you're doing is stirring up the electrons, and truly the electrons are stirred, and they're going to be stirred more, and people are going to add more heat to the pot, and they're going to add more water to the pot. So it's truly going to be a very big event. It's not just a ho-hum event. It's a big event. And I'm excited that Manatee County is a part of it, and I look forward to working with our friends to the south, Sarasota County, but truly the counties in the region are going to profit from it.
I think you're exactly right. I think there's going to be a lot of counties going to come knocking on your door and saying, how can we help you get involved? And I think I look forward to doing that. Mayor Poston, there's so much going on in the city with the River Walk and the Pink Palace and McKechnie Field. Where do you see the rowing facility fitting into all the great things that are happening?
Well, the interesting thing now is we got the job done. Now the work begins. Talking about the analogy of the pebble's in the water. These rings are starting to move, and we have to start moving. This is really where the rubber meets the road in getting this done in a way that it needs to get done. I'm not saying I don't have confidence in the team. I do. I think we can get this thing done, but there's a whole lot of work ahead of us.
And there's a lot of involvement.
We're happy celebrating this success. We know we're not going to. Now we have to pull the throttle down and let's go, get it done.
Elliot, what are some next steps for you?
I think it's important for us to make sure that our residents understand the money invested in this endeavor is tourism tax. Mm-hmm. It's a tax that's collected when you stay in a hotel, motel, or condo, anything 6 months or less. And it can't be used for school board, or it can't be used for police services. Mm-hmm. It is limited, mainly marketing and promotions. For every dollar spent, tourism tax in the marketplace gets a return of $200. So, which converts into sales tax generation, which also pays for government services, community services that enhances our quality of life. So that's important to convey. I think what I'm most excited about is working with the team. We're unselfish. We believe in each other. We'll debate with each other because we know, as Paul would say, failure's not an option. And we want this memorable experience to be memorable for people all over the world. And they tell their grandkids. So that's what makes you real excited to go to work every day and work with people like this.
Mr. Hunsicker, assembling this team together with people from Sarasota at the state level, it's not an easy process. It's it's not something that just happens on a dime. It takes a lot of work to put a team together, doesn't it?
It does, but the team has to get bigger because it's going to take more players to pull this off. We are going to need the universities to participate. We're going to need the cities. We're going to need counties, the airports in the region. These people aren't just going to show up one day. They're going to be coming into the airports in South Florida, Central Florida, Tampa. They're going to need to know how to get here. The transportation network has to be set up. We're going to be scheduling a meeting here in short order to figure out how we bring all the bigger partnership to the table and start sorting out who's going to be responsible for what, because there's going to be a whole lot of what that needs to get done. And it's going to be a challenge. It's going to really test folks. We haven't talked about the wonderful, wonderful volunteers that have come out so far in this project and have worked through the regattas that have been held. But when you think of the regattas to date, they've been 2, 3, 4 days in length. Right. When you start talking 10 days, well, we're just going to need a whole lot more volunteers.
And I'm sure you're going to find them. And as I said at the beginning of the program, there's one person who's really been the catalyst to putting this together. It's certainly been Mr. Blackheader. And if you were assembling a team, I guess you could call these the dream team, could you, of all the people that you, even though that name's been used before, but this is really a great team. People from Sarasota were so enthusiastic, and everything has worked so well, the sense of cooperation. So hats off to you to putting this team together. And Paul, what are your next steps? Where do you go? And again, another hats off to Mr. Benderson, Randy Benderson, for backstopping this and for believing in the vision.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we have some great community leadership from both Manatee and Sarasota County, so we're really fortunate for that. And part of our success, as Mr. Hunsicker had mentioned, is the volunteers in the community. We would not be here today if it wasn't for the community coming forward and banding together to make these regattas happen. And we're having a lot more events up and coming this next year, close to 20, wow. And we need the support. And what's so cool is that everybody can get involved, even with the World Rowing Championship. This is the closest you'll ever come to a Olympic type of event.
Absolutely.
And but we need the community support. We need them to come out and participate, come out and spectate. But this is their course, their regattas, and their event, and their help would be greatly appreciated.
Well, Mr. Blackheader, I want to thank you and congratulate all of you for bringing this world-class event to Manatee and Sarasota County. It's really a significant achievement, and it will be felt for generations to come. So, Paul, congratulations to you, Commissioner Bussell, Mayor Poston, Elliott, Mr. Hunsicker. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for bringing this event, which will really change Manatee and Sarasota County for generations to come. Mayor Poston?
I want to say one thing. There was one member of our team that's not here. It's Dave Gustafson, and we mentioned him a couple of times. And for the record, he's the Downtown Development Authority Director, who also worked for the county. Before that, worked for Benderson. and is a great, great personal and professional friend of Paul Blackletter. So that's who the
Dave
Dave
certainly
Gustafson is that
key
we're talking about.
person.
And he's a part of the team. He was both in Bulgaria and Korea, so part of that.
But we only have seats for 5, so we'll invite him back to the next thing. And I would invite all of you back again, perhaps at a later date, to give us an update and see what the progress has been made, and perhaps even talk about recruiting some volunteers or some young people to help in events. So again, congratulations, and if we could echo Paul's first comments at the press conference, we did it. All right. Thank you all for joining us, and thank you for joining us on this special edition of Up Close on METV.